Sutek tried to line it up, and he was like, I don't debate y'all. Y'all too disrespectful. Aboriginal Power won't even debate Sean because he's too disrespectful.
He is though. No, he really is though. I can't really like you, bro. You cool. Not a coincidence. I actually chop it up with but niggas that come off too heated and disrespectful, like I said, I'll debate you, bro. But we gotta get in the ring first. If you want to be disrespectful like that, at least disrespect me in the ring, bro. Let's start now, bro. Can you disrespect me in a cage, bro? Like, I'd rather just do that. Then we go straight from the cage. You know what I mean? Put your ice on the way to the motherfucking computer, and we'll debate directly after that, nigga. Shit.
That's why I don't need these. Fucking with the nigga and shit. You feel me? Like, it's like, wait, bro, talk like that, man. We gotta get face to face with you to talk to you like that, my nigga.
Yeah, Peanut. You feel me? Go ahead, I got my brother already. Peanut, what's the word, my brother?
Yeah, I appreciate you, man, but Lucky, let me say this, man. First of all, I'm an older brother. I'm young in spirit as I stay in shape, but I'm older. I deserve respect. Don't lie on me. You're not gonna get nowhere lying, because that's what's gonna make you fall face first. Second of all, I'm well known in the Pan-African community. I'm not nobody new. You're younger than me. You don't know this. I didn't put in work and expose Rob Bourne, Sutek, any of them people over there. They know it deep down inside. And I'm gonna be long-winded. I'm a Moorish American. I already had back and forth with them dude. They erased videos. I'm not running from anybody. Don't ever say that stupid shit again. Third, and last but not least, I'm not losing no debate to no Pan-African. So don't ever say that shit again, famo. And that's it. Appreciate y'all, man.
You heard it. If Sean P want to debate, tell him to debate the champ over there, right?
Sutek wanted so this like it's a pecking order. It's a pecking. So Sean want you and Sutek want him. You say PMF ain't
It's no problem. It's no problem, man. Let's set up a Sutek debate, man. I don't like him anyway.
Okay, so I love that, brother. I love that warrior mentality.
That's how it's going. I love to tell Sutek, tell me. There ain't nothing. My champ always in the chat. Have him pop in. We'll set a topic. We'll set a date. We'll make it pay-per-view. We'll chop it up behind the scenes. I get their contact. We'll make it work. You know? Right here. He ain't ducking no phase, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. He do this over here on y'all channel, and then when we get in other
hey, alright, I will block your ass, nigga, because I'm well known for disrupting them chats over there. Nigga, stop fucking lying, nigga. You a goofy, nigga. I would never let a lame ass nigga around me in my face, clown.
You gonna block me? And I don't be.
It ain't no time I ain't ever been on the Pan-African channel and made my impact. Stop lying. I'm a real man, bro. Stop lying, fam. Don't do PNF like that.
PNF, he trying to trigger you, brother.
What the fuck up?
But listen, he did that to me, talking about, word on the street, I'm ducking from John P. I've never even had but one conversation with this little disrespectful motherfucker.
Oh, okay, yeah, he a little hot. He like that.
So he like...
Peace to everybody in the chat. Your boy Sean P in the place to be, man. Like the show, share the show. Tell a friend, tell a friend. What's up? We live. I don't want to hold nobody up. I want to get straight to it. I'm going to share my screen. Those of you who may catch the replay, appreciate that. Like the show, share the show. It is what it is at this point. So I like to mind my business to a degree. What I mean by mind my business to a degree is I don't like for people to lie on Africa. Don't lie on African culture, African history, and people. Don't be disingenuous with information. So after Not a Coincidence show, I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay away from dude. I'm gonna stay away from dude. I've been avoiding dude for a while. And what I mean by I've been avoiding dude is because I know the rabbit hole that he goes down. And you'll get lost or trapped into that. So I said if I do anything, discipline myself to focus on one claim and one claim only, regarding a video in particular. And I'm going to show you how this guy has no methodology, and where Dan Calloway gets his the way he manipulates videos and creates skepticism with data. This is how it does all of that. So I was trying to mind my business one day, and because Not a Coincidence and played the video I saw where this guy made 3 like straight videos about West Africa. And I was like, wait a minute, popping up in my algorithm. So I decided to take a look. And because I went to go be nosy, here we are today. So the concentration is on the Lebu people of West Africa. More importantly, they are among the Senegal region or Senegambian region. They are people who kind of separate themselves from the Wolof, but they speak a version of Wolof, kind of like a remix version of that. And you're going to see that these people were indigenous to the areas where they were ran out from when the Portuguese began to colonize Africa and set up a trade post. Now I'm going to highlighted pieces of their history, right? Because these people are really no different than their counterparts. However, there is a story that is being manipulated by Colonial. And that story is using this guy that you have on the screen, who dropped this video about 14 years ago. It's 2010. And I'm going to walk you down memory lane and show you. So real quick, I'm gonna play a little bit of his video. It's tough to tolerate for me because I know it's deceitful and it has malicious intent. All right, so now that I've set the stage, let me make this a little bit bigger. So again, I'm gonna play this real quick because I know how these guys are. I'm not gonna play much of it, but I'm gonna play enough. He used someone else's video to make his video. So if he tries to come for like a copyright strike or whatnot, then we can get to it. All the material that I'm going to disclose with you today is actually in the description of the video. I'm gonna go ahead and say this now. For anyone that's been paying attention to the Master Warrior Clan and Kofi Paisai research team over the last 5 years, you've noticed that we exposed something, added to something that should be prevalent in this discussion regarding such as this. The influence of Islam has changed a lot of origin stories. If you don't believe me, look at the Nation of Islam today. They claim to be Asiatic black men. They skip right over Africa, plant themselves right dead smack away from Africa, and claim that's where they're from. Among the Yoruba, there was an argument that some of the Yoruba in origin stories claim to descend from the East. Now, this could have been mistaken or taken as the East, meaning the Middle East, right? The Arabian area or India, whatever the case may be. But I want to let y'all know something real quickly. Not all the origin stories align with that thought process. They're not alone. Many West Africans who are under the influence of Islam all have this migration out of Africa into somewhere else. This is also a problem with archaeology, cultural anthropology, and how they define civilizations, etc. This is why work in these fields are so important and research is so important, because remember, they call the crescent of civilization out of Africa. They say it's birthed somewhere else, and then it's birthed, and then you start seeing Africa show up. Right? That's a topic for another day. We're going to get into that. Talking about we're not defeating their info. What do you mean by that? That we're not defeating their info? What information have they presented that we have not defeated? And you have to keep in mind that the church still has over how many followers? They have billions. The church around the world, they have billions, right? A few billion people still subscribe to the church, Christianity. However many of them it is, what my point is that people are still Christians with all the information that we have. With that being, not fazed by this section of pseudos growing, right? They're trying to replace a belief that they had in their head with something, or not a belief. Let me take that back. They're trying to replace facts with a belief that they have in their head. And they have yet to be able to substantiate that. And therefore that causes problems. But it's enough people in the building, man. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, I ain't trying to kick ties. I'm going to be here for a minute anyway.
The quality, and I had to do a lot of audio fixing, mastering, just to get it to sound good so we can be able to interpret it and put some subtitles on it, right?
This is how we made our workflow better than ever with Monday.com. It gave our team one sense.
Assalamualaikum mbooloo mi janoog ñun ñu ngi nuyu tey jii ci maa ngi nuyu ñëpp ndax sant yàlla toog tey ma ko jox.
Say hello to everybody who's going to see this video. And
All right, so that's the original, and that's the translator. You can barely hear the translator. There's a lot of noise. So, you know, I went ahead and I fixed a little bit of this interview. We're going to hear it from the horse's mouth himself. He's going to tell us where his people are from. We're talking about the Lebu people in Senegal.
All right, so let me pause. So now you know that I have the audio in his video about the Lebu people. Now he said he had to fix audio and that he had to do all this other stuff, create subtitles, all this other stuff. He ain't did none of that. He ain't did none of that. Ladies and gentlemen, what you see on the screen is this exact source right here. This is his source. This is his source. Collaboration with Lebu historian Omar Ngala Gayer, right? These are the video clippings. If I go back to the video, you're going to see these same things right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the gist of everything that he's talking about. Now, I bet you're like, why does his source look different than your source, Sean? It's from the same blog spot. This is where we're going nowadays. This dude went to a blog spot for this information. So let me go back. All right. So there's a different version to view this. You see it? So now, just so people are not confused, this is what he's looking at. This is his view. All right. So I showed y'all one way and then he zoomed in, of course. But now, just so you can see, so you're not confused by anything. I have the exact information on the screen. He zooms in, so now you can see that I am tit for tat with his video. So he begins to read this. And I'm not going to confuse anyone. I'm going to let y'all hear what he has to say. Let me stop sharing and reshare because I know that it's going to lose audio and it just told me that it did. So I want to make sure that I do that. But I wanted everybody to understand that I am tit for tat with the information and therefore we can address it properly.
And we're talking about this part of the world right here. We go into Senegal.
Look, we didn't miss it. We didn't miss it.
He's going to tell us where his people are from. We're talking about the Lebu people in Senegal. And we're talking about this part of the world right here. We go into Senegal. When we go into Senegal and we go to Dakar region, they're right here, right in this peninsula.
So real quick, so Black Panther is from Senegal. He's a member of the Masu warrior clan, right? Brother Aziz is from the Senegambian region. He is a member of the Masu warrior clan. One is Wolof. One is Siri. One is Wolof. Okay? And they are both from the same region. All right? This guy is not from, first of all, he doesn't profess to be from Africa. He doesn't. Because he's not. People have seen him, and he is more so in one of them smutties. We'll say that. He ain't kin to none of us. We'll put it like that. But he's speaking on business that ain't his business. Now he's taking us to a map and an article so far. Let him go.
Mostly. All right. And they're saying they came through the Sahara. And we're going to see later, most likely through Mauritania, through Egypt, right? Egypt's right here. Possibly through North Pakistan, and between Afghanistan going down into India. All right, maybe even Sri Lanka. We'll see. All right, so before we continue, I just wanted to real quick remind you of what we have shown before, of the incredible images and photos of many of the people of this area, the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia, right? This whole area right here, India, Southeast Asia, look, Andaman Island. Andaman Islands are in between Hindustan and Southeast Asia. You guys all know what we've shown before. People from
All right, so he just talked about people being from Dakar, and then you seen him go directly into Asia and show you these other places, and then talked about these other places, and he's still showing shit on the map. He ain't even read the article yet, but he is already setting the agenda. He's there already. He just showed you an article that he didn't read to you yet, played a little bit of a video that he hadn't played through yet, and then he has showed you a map and focused directly on this map to try to draw and paint a picture of a migration. And he ends up taking people all the way to the islands and say, this is where they start.
the Philippines, all these areas. I'm going to show you a lot of the images they never show us. Papua New Guinea, New Caledonia, all these, the Fijis, all these. Tonga. You guys remember Samoa? All the images that we're showing, I'm going to show those again real quick. All right? So you can understand that there is melanated, so-called Negro people, original, indigenous to these parts of the world.
All right, so there's one claim, but I'm not dealing with that claim. But this is one of his claims. He is saying that there are melanated Negro people in these parts of the world. That's what he said. Okay. Now, I can address that very easily. And I know that some people want me to address that. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the people that he named, the Papua New Guineans, have been in that region isolated for over 50,000 years. They carry genetic ancestry closer to the Novicens and Neanderthals. Their genetic admixture is not like that. The reason for their skin color is due to pressures created by the environment in that region. It's real close to the equator, correct? Yes. Right? It's a lot of dark skin shaded toward that equator and below, yes, because of the temperatures. Do they have certain features that may be similar? Yes. A lot of people do. But these people, as he paints them, are not what you... He's putting a social and racial class of today, of modern times, on a people who's been isolated from other people for so goddamn long. But that is not why we're here.
Especially Hindustan right here, so-called India. So here we got a girl from Tamil, Ceylon, Sri Lanka. That's where that temple was that said Gangara Maya, all right?
Like I said, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And we know this because we're dealing with biology. Yes, sirree, yes, we are. Yes. So let's continue. Hold on. I want to just get through his pictures because they're relevant. right? And some of these pictures that he do show,
This is how AG1
some of these pictures that he do show,
works to deliver foundational nutrition that tastes great too. Matching
but
natural.
the skin compartment.
From India.
Look, poor Tink Tink. Let me back it up just a little bit.
Traditions. We got some Gampola Kandiman chiefs from Lankapura. You see that? Hindu girl. You see that? So when they're Lebu are saying we come from India, why would you doubt that? We can't add conjectures to that. This is a Hindu woman. Another one right here. Indentured servant coolie girl in the Caribbean. All right, an indentured servant from India. Do you guys see that? What do you mean the Lebu? You know, they're telling you they're coming from India. It says Negritos, the original inhabitants of the Philippines. See that? You see this? Come on now. From the Fijis, New Caledonia. Come on now. Look at that. Look at that. Come on. Open your eyes. All right. New Caledonia, the Fiji people. Very woolly hair. Look at that. That was their style. They rocked that. You know? These I forget. They're not from India. They're from another island in Southeast Asia. Forget the name. But in my Black Asian videos, we go over the exact details. You want to go take a look at it. A Fijian. Look at this with his pick. Right? A Fijian with his pick. Okay, that's part of their culture, guys. They're from there. All right, I believe this is from the Philippines. And from the Philippines as well. The town.
All right, so again, he's about 8 minutes into his video. He started with talking about the car, talking about this elder in the of the Lebu people. He's in West Africa. He didn't started in West Africa and then went all the way to India, Sri Lanka, and all these other places and showing you images. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to be real specific. This man is this man is deceitful, right? Intentionally deceitful. However, in his intent to be deceitful, what he is showing you, right? What he is showing you is a migration out of Africa into the other parts of the world. He's blindly debunking himself and others, right, by doing this. But he's showing you these images as to say the reason, the intent, and the purpose of this video. Look at this. The boy is crazy. The boy is crazy. So, all right, y'all. I think finally we can get into this video. I'm skipping ahead.
Parts of the world, but not necessarily only Africa. So again, we're going to get the story and the origin of his people. He's the expert. He's from the Lebu tribe. He's from one of the oldest families of the Lebu people. And you can't ignore what he's telling you.
So again, I've showed you that I've got this article, so there's no miscrewing going on. I got the article.
He knows where his people are coming from. It was passed down to him. As you guys can see here, it's 8 clips, it's 8 videos, and it's only on one little segment of clip 2 that we're gonna go ahead and show. But he talks about, you know, how his grandma had passed it down to him, and then his mom passed it more down, and then he did more research, and he was able to verify it. And he knows where his people are coming from. We're gonna get it from him.
Now, I want you to hear this again, what he says about this guy. He said this guy did research and more research. Listen very closely to what he says about this guy before this video plays.
Coming from, it was passed down to him. As you guys can see here is, so again, we're going to get the story and the origin of his people. He's the expert. He's from the Lebu tribe.
He said, we're going to get the story from his people. And then he turned around and said, he's the expert. So are we getting the story from his people, or are we getting the story from him? And he's the expert. Listen again. You have to pay attention.
Parts of the world, but not necessarily only Africa. So again, we're going to get the story and the origin of his people. He's the expert. He's from the Lebu tribe. He's from one of the...
We're going to get the story of his people.
Or possibly coming from other parts of the world, but not necessarily only Africa. So again, we're going to get the story and the origin of his people. He's the expert. He's from the Lebu tribe. He's from one of the oldest families of the Lebu people. And you can't ignore.
How do you know that he is from the oldest of the Lebu people? Where does it say that at?
So again, we're going to get the story and the origin of his people. He's the expert. He's from the Lebu tribe. He's from one of the oldest.
What makes you an expert? What makes you an expert? Because we've now let me be quiet.
Families of the Lebu people, and you can't ignore what he's telling you. He knows where his people are coming from. It was passed down to him. As you guys can see here, is 8 clips, it's 8 videos, and it's only on.
Let's see if this information was passed down to him from his people, because he's the expert.
One little segment of clip 2 that we're gonna go ahead and show, but he talks about, you know, how his grandma had passed it down to him, and then his mom passed it more down, and then he did more research and he was able to verify it.
So where is the videos or where is this evidence at saying that he did more research? See, Colonial has already set the stage, and you're absolutely correct. He is a Christopher Columbus looking guy. And I don't know why he's talking about Africa. I don't.
And he knows where his people are coming from. We're going to get it from him. So let's go to that right now.
donc xam-xam boobu moom laa war waxtaane tey à travers le monde.
So this is that knowledge is the knowledge he's going to talk about today to share with the world.
muy xam-xam boo xam ne mu ngi wàcc jëm ci wàllu Lebu.
And this knowledge is came from the Lebu's community.
ndax Lebu dañu am culture bu mag.
And the Lebus, they have a big culture.
am cosaan bu mag.
And they have a big tradition.
am diine aussi.
And also they have a religion.
kon kenn warul waxtaane Lebu rek nga ñëw rek commencé Sénégal parce que Lebu commencé wul Sénégal.
So it doesn't mean, for example, if you're talking about Lebu, you cannot only start in Senegal, you know, because Lebu doesn't come from Senegal.
parce que suñu maam yi dañuy wax ne Lebu mu commencé Inde.
Because his ancestors, they said Lebu is came from India.
parce que Lebu yi dëkkoon nañu Inde.
Because the Lebu, they used to live in India.
All right. Did you guys catch all that? So let me go back. He says, and also they have a region.
And also they have a religion. So
he says, so if you're talking about Lebu, you cannot only start in Senegal, you know, because Lebu does not start from Senegal.
But it doesn't mean, for example, if you're talking about Lebu, you cannot only start in Senegal, you know, because Lebu doesn't come from Senegal.
Because his ancestors, they said, Lebu they came from India. All right, they came from India. This is from him, of his people. He's telling you.
Because his ancestors, they said Lebu is came from India. Because the Lebu, they used to live in India.
Because the Lebu, they used to live in India.
And his ancestors, they said the Lebus, they live, they stay in India for 1,000 years.
So he says, and the Lebus, they live, they stay in India for about 500 years, I guess he's saying.
And when by God, in the future, they leave India, they came to Egypt.
All right, so they were in India again, and they basically, he's saying they went through Egypt on their way before they got to Senegal. And as we read earlier, they went through the Sahara.
Being in Egypt, ça fait 525 ans avant Jésus-Christ.
When they came to Egypt, it was 525 years before the Christ.
All right, so they're saying when they
525 BCE
came to Egypt, that was like around the year 525 BC. That's what he's saying, right? We can touch the hijack on the chronologist, but the story, the memory of them, where they were coming from, is still passed down to them, right?
Alors, foofu Lebu yi dañ fi amoon une organisation boo xam ne organisation bu mag la.
And in Egypt, the Lebus community, they have a big organization in Egypt.
They had a big organization in Egypt, he says.
Mais bari na lu écrivain yi di wax nag, mais source ba duñ ko mën wax parce que duñu Lebu.
A lot of writers, they talk about the Lebu's history, but they cannot go deep because they are not Lebus.
All right, that was a big one right there. He's saying, yeah, many people can write about it and talk about the Lebu, but they can never get deep because they are not Lebu. They don't know. They don't know. And this goes out to every, Pan-African out there who has trouble with this. And I know a lot of you say, well, they still came out of Africa. No, that's conjecture. You can't prove that. And that's the fact. We know that you can't prove that. And you got to live with that fact. You know you can't prove that. That's just your wishful thinking. He's telling you they're from India. Doesn't mean they were coming from Africa, from there. Again, the Andaman Island.
All right, so now he takes you to, after he just talked about they come from India, then he turns around and shows Andaman Islanders. And then the funny part is that this has Asian M haplogroup. Yo, like, dude's weird. So let's get to it. All right, so Omar, recognized expert in the history of the Lebu people. Al-Mami and I met with him yesterday, groundwork for a series of film interviews on the topic of the Lebu history and culture. This is the first in that extended series. It is a focus on the migration of the Lebu from India through Egypt and the Sahara to Senegal and the Cape Verde Peninsula. The aim at a present is to create a comfortable melee and easy rhythm both for Omar and Al-Mami, who is doing the Wolof English translation. The interview is filmed in Omar's home in Yaf. Following the interview, Omar took us around Yaf, introducing us to family, friends, dignitaries, including the mayor of Yaf and Imam of the Grand Mosque. Pause. Why the hell would he introduce you to someone at a mosque? Now, he said, we wandered along narrow sandy paths through the cluster of neighborhoods in central Yaf. It is a place of sand and cinder blocks with few landmarks for the likes of this accustomed to the streets and street signs. I now find myself comfortable with shaking hands, exchanging greetings, sitting and visiting, listening patiently, moving along a comfortable, relaxed Senegalese pace, guided less than the constraints of the goals at the time of the responses of the relationship. Okay? And the clips are here. All right, so this is his source. Okay? It was published on a Saturday, April 3rd in 2010. This is his source. This source is from a blog spot. Dreamblogspot.com. There's no sources to it or anything in support. It's a few videos. All right, so there you go. So now, what I want to do is, instead of going directly into the Lebu and introducing you to them in a particular way, I'm going to immediately put this elder in conflict with Islam. Yes, you heard me. I am going to immediately put him in conflict with Islam. Then I'm going to explain it to you why. So there's this tradition among the Wolof, Nasiri, and other people, people along the Senegalese or Senegambian region that they. And you heard Aziz and Black Panther do a little build on this a few weeks ago. It was about the Rab traditions, Rab cult in Dakar, Senegal. Okay, this is a region that is dominated by Islam, but peep game. The spirit world is alive and real in Senegal. From jealous lover spirits to benevolent protector spirits, these otherworldly beings have a direct impact on the daily lives of many Senegalese. Wait a minute. What are these spirit protectors and spirit lovers doing, participating in the daily lives of Senegalese who are supposed to be from India, and they're predominantly Muslim and practice the Islamic faith? So in this study, the author of this study focuses on the Rab spirit and argues that the spirit world is a tangible reality in Senegal. Focusing on the Lebu ethnic group, I examined the Rab cult as one dimension of the spirit world and look specifically at its relationship to gender. Analysis of the cult establishes the continued significance of this traditional African religion in the face of globalizing society. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is an African tradition, but peep game. Additionally, it reveals how the cult acts as a complementary sphere of social power for women, in contrast to the sphere of male-dominated Islam. In this way, the Rab cult fills a space in society that Islam cannot. By examining the disunity between the Rab cult and Islam, it is possible to see how these conflicts fundamentally serve to affirm Senegalese identity through the creation of social cohesion. So, this letting you know off the gate what we're dealing with. So I'm going directly to page 40 in this article real quick, and then I will come back to it. I'm not going to give you the whole thing. I'm going to give you a little piece and I'm going to come back. You understand me? I need to give y'all that so you can understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a people who practices the tradition of the Rab. I don't want to hear nothing else. We know the region. We know the area. We're going to get into did these people come from India here in a moment. Right? Go to the next page, 40. All right, here we go. Can y'all see that good? You should be. I'll make it better. The Wolof people are an ethnic group found in Mauritania, Senegal, and the Gambia. They make up 45% of the Senegalese population, 0.7 million, of the estimated 5.850 Senegalese population. and are geographically centered on the Cape Verde Peninsula. Let me pause. The Wolof people make up 2.7 of the 5.8 pop. According to the Ministre des Senegalese de l'Extérieur, there's no V in that. In 03 and 04, the number of Senegalese living abroad equals 648,600 individuals, or 12% of the total population in 04. The significance of this figure can be seen in various ways. The Lebu use the Rab cult as a way to connect the diaspora population. Wait a minute. Why are the Lebu using a Rab cult to connect with the diasporian if they're India? We don't see people in India and these other places that you claim migrate from. Great Elder and from 2010 probably didn't say none of the stuff they probably got I'm saying in the video. We need translator. But Karimio, you didn't even try to cross-reference or substantiate anything that went on in the video. However, just peep game. The earliest mention of the Wolof people in literature appears in political descriptions of Wolof social organizations by Karamosto in 1455 to 57. The empire is associated with the social upheavals and the migrations of a result of the fall of the empire of Ghana around 2040. The Wolof have remained numerically dominant in Senegal, with most Wolof living in city areas. The Wolof language is generally considered the lingua franca in the most formal of formal spheres. The Wolof have one subgroup, the Lebu. The Lebu. That is made up of 180,000 people. They share a common language, Wolof, and are fishermen by occupation. They are distinguished from other Wolof through their association with the Lion Brotherhood, matrilineal inheritance, and their dedication to the Rab cult. Islam is supposed to be Islam only. There's a version of Sufism that these people practice. However, they still have their traditional practices, even in the face of Islam. So when the elder supposedly took Buddy and Yoff in the Yoff community to go to a mosque, why take him among the Rab? I mean, among the members that practice the Rations, the indigenous traditions. Let's continue. For the Lebu, matrilineal inheritance is one of the defining factors of their identity. The ways in which children identities are established is directly through the mother. For example, although children can live in their father's village, they are always considered to be from their mother's village. Names and rights are inherited maternally, and children and their mothers handle their own affairs and property without the intervention of their fathers. Additionally, the powers to manage Rab are inherited through the mother's side by daughters. Both of these characteristics are directly contrary to the primary ways of other Senegalese ethnicities function. According to Douglas, matrilineal flourishes in societies where economic flexibility is necessary. Matrilineal groups are able to bring in men from outside the formal prescribed lineage, thus remaining flexible. Because of this matrilineal, by the ambiguities, giving scope to the enterprising individual override ascribed roles. This characteristics of matrilineal, hold on, my computer tripping. Give me 1 second, y'all. We cooking with grits. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I'll let y'all answer that in the chat. All right, hold on. Let me reload this source. We were on page 40, and we were toward the end. I'm finna get directly into the whole gist of why dude's saying what he's saying, right? Like I told y'all before, I'm gonna put dude in direct conflict. I'm taking this elder, and I'm about to put him in direct conflict with the people. Direct conflict with his own people. Yeah, I'm that type of guy. Because in the video, Karimio claims that this dude had all the answers, that he was the expert, and that he could do this, that, and the third. Y'all should be able to see the screen now. All right, so again, according to Douglas, matrilineal flourishes in societies where economic flexibility is necessary. Matrilineal groups are able to bring in men from outside the formal prescribed lineage, thus remaining flexible because of this matrilineal. By the ambiguities, giving scope to enterprise and individual to override described roles. This characteristic of matrilineal is one reason the Lebu women are able to hold the highest positions of power within the Rab cult. According to Gamble and Mahadi, the Lebu people became a separate entity after the revolt of the Wolof Kayor Empire between 1790 and 1810. The revolt was a violent secession from the Kayor's king, ruled based upon his somewhat indifferent attitude towards the Lebu Quranic practices. After this revolt, Les Lebu, I can't say all of it. I can't speak that shit. So I'm gonna give you the translation. Now, although the Lebu have since been reincorporated in the Senegal, they remain a recognized theocratic kingdom, even as the Lebu have remained a distinct group. With the introduction of the Leon Brotherhood, the Lebu have slowly lost their distinct political power. Okay, so real quick, there was a conflict in 1790, right, which drew separation. Since then, the Lebu people have been trying to be their own people. You know of this revolt. It's called the Wolof Kayor. During the Wolof Kayor Empire, there was an issue with how the Lebu was practicing and using the Quranic traditions, right? There was an issue. The Rab cult put which is led by women and give them power and stature still over the people in that area. It set a precedence over Islam that Islam couldn't shake. So we have a valid piece of information, right, that shows us where a conflict of interest transpired during a certain period. All right, so now I want to get into another little gesture about the Lebu. Again, it's going to sound like it's a repeat. The Lebu are the most urban ethnic group in Senegal. And urban culture is one of the defining characteristics of their identity. The Lebu are concentrated in the urban coastal Cape Verde Peninsula region of Senegal. However, small numbers of the Lebu live along the coast of Mauritania, the Gambia, and Guinea-Bissau. Although they do not see themselves as ethnically Wolof, the Lebu speak a dialect of Wolof, and many of their family names and customs are similar to both the Wolof and the Siri. You heard me mention that earlier. because Panther and Aziz, Panther is Siri, Aziz is Wolof. The Lebu make up approximately 1% of the population, or about 102,000 people. You saw it in the previous. The Lebu believe that they migrated. Listen to this, y'all, because you just heard him say that they came from India, right? He said the Lebu people come from India. Here, the Lebu believe that they migrated from the north to the Cape Verde Peninsula in the 1700s, expelling the people previously living in the area along the way. Once they arrived in Cape Verde, the Lebu became subsistent farmers and famed fishermen. At first, the animist Lebu remained under the political control of the Damil, king of the Wolof state of Kayor. However, in 1790, small group of Muslim Lebu under the leadership of Muslim leader Dao Diop, or Jot, launched a bloody war for independence. The war lasted until 1812, when Kayor admitted a defeat. The Jot became the leader of the whole Lebu community, both Muslim and animist. Today, all the Lebu identify as Muslim. However, like many Senegalese, they retain many of their pre-Islamic animist practices, such as the belief in the spirit possession and the use of charms. So, we have our first piece of countering art about the Lebu coming from the north, more so Mauritania. Let's see if we can find more substantiating evidence about their migrations. Moving frontiers of climate change and violence in West Africa, the Lebu migrations of the 11th century CE. Zoom in. Today, the Lebu fish folk inhabit Dakar and the coastal towns and villages of Cape Verde and Senegal. According to multiple oral traditions from across the region, the ancestors of the Lebu originally lived to the northeast of the whole region of modern Mauritania and were forced to leave during the 11th century CE due to drought and warfare. So, this research project blends different research methodologies and mappings to spatial analyze this initial stage in the Lebu migrations. A larger study seeks to examine the creation of the Lebu historical geography extending from the Hood to the Cape by focusing on intersections between memory, space, and history. I'm gonna back because I need to read a little bit more to it, and y'all ain't gonna be able to see it that good. Let me see. I don't know if that's about as good as I can get it right now. So it'll all be on the screen. Let me try again. Nope, that's too much. All right, there we go. So the first waves of Lebu settlers arrived on the Green Cape as early as the late 16th century, to be followed by later waves over the next 2 centuries. The passage of various Lebu families and clans to Cape Verde can be traced backwards from the Atlantic coast across space and time by tracing the locations of villages founded by the Lebu. Many of these sites are referenced in Lebu oral traditions, but others were found by looking for Lebu family names embedded in village names. As one follows the village sites from Cape Verde to the north, one moves farther back in time. From the lower Senegal River Valley, the trail of history Lebu sites moves upriver, passing through back in time to the 12th century. The valley, however, was only waypoint in the Lebu migration. While the Lebu oral sources are extremely valuable, they are limited. Beyond the Senegal River Valley, distinctively Lebu sites do not exist in their memory, but the local Berber oral sources speak a prototypical population of farmers in the past called Gangara. They gave rise to many of the modern ethnic groups of Senegal. Fortunately, Arabic, yes, Arabic written sources provide clues to the presence of this Proto-Lebu population in the Hod region. So, al-Bukhari's Kitab al-Salik wal Mamalik, published in 1068, is one of the most reliable of these sources and speaks of population of black farmers, the Conquest, as he puts it, or the Gangara, who lived in the highlands north of the commercial city of Awadas, raiding passing caravans and fighting desert pastoralists. Oh man, I want to go over here and grab this al-Bukhari work. But nah, remember, because this elder say they come from India, so let's rock out. Two archaeological studies, the first of DeVoe and Topet in 1963 and the second in Manua in 1964, located the map of Gangara sites in the Hold and the surrounding tangent in Asebi Highlands. By geo-referencing these maps, it was possible to place points for the climate and environment of the Hof were very different 1,000 years ago. Let me pause real quick. So according to other oral traditions, right, our expert elder from 2010 is now in conflict with other oral traditions and site recognitions that place these people in certain geographical locations that are not near India. Does it take him all the way off the table? We're going to see. Now, do I want to do this? All right, I'm gonna do this. If the model holds true, then as the climate dried out during the 11th century, we're skipping out there because we didn't talk about this, but it goes on to say this right here. This is important. The frontier of violence between the Berbers and Ghana should have shifted south, as well as putting military pressure on the population to move south. The rise of the Berber Almoravids, a militant Sunni Muslim movement, dominates the history of the region during the latter half of the 11th century. In the year 1055 CE, Almoravid forces conquered Awadas, and over the next 2 decades, they fought to pacify the south. All but the most southerly of the Gangara sites suffered from both Almoravid raids and the drier climate, making rain-dependent cereal farming impossible in many of their former settlements, while the Gangara sites in the Tangent and Asebi Highlands are the most likely candidates for places settled by their ancestors of the Lebu. There is still a large spatial gap between those settlements and the known Lebu sites along the Senegal River Valley. Pause. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, even in their migrations, what has been uncovered over here so far is we still ain't got anywhere near India. I'm not going to give you all of this. I just want to keep on adding to the argument. Okay? If a person from America or Europe gets into a boat and comes to West Africa, his or her first contact with an African person will most likely be the Lebu fishermen. The Lebu live in a small fishing village located along the coast of West Africa from Mauritania to Guinea. Their villages are sandwiched between the ocean and the desert. The Lebu people speak Wolof. However, they have their own distinctive dialect, which sets them apart from the surrounding and much larger Wolof people group. Modern Lebu still, zoom in, boom. They still live in fishing villages. However, many of them, large cities have grown up around them, and much of their property has been confiscated for urban development. The Dakar Lebu villages are now incorporated neighborhoods with a city more than 3 million people surrounding them. The skyscrapers of downtown Dakar dwarf the towers of their mosque. The basic diet of the Lebu people consists of fish and rice. A few raise chickens and goats on a limited scale. Rice is purchased in the markets, and vegetables and spices that they need to cook. Sebojin, rice and fish, in which rich vegetable sauce, is a favorite Lebu meal. They often complement this in smoked sea urchins they collect from the rocks along the coast. The Lebu are also very fond of ataya, the Senegalese tea. This tea serves in 3 rounds. The first is a strong and bitter. The second is slightly sweet and sometimes it has mint in it. And the third, very sweet with lots of mint. The tea ceremony reflects friendship. The longer we are friends, the sweeter our relationship grows. For recreation, the Lebu enjoy storytelling, dancing, and wrestling. They also look forward to all social occasions such as baptisms, weddings, and any other the times they come together as a community. The Lebu people love to smile and are quick to joke and prank. An afternoon spent in their homes is an enjoyable experience for everyone. The Lebu Wolof are solidly Muslim. They are unlikely to consider their need for a sin-free savior until the Holy Spirit speaks to their hearts. They look to the spirit world to help them with their daily needs. They are solidly Muslim. They don't consider a need for a sin-free savior until one can speak to their hearts. They look to the spirit world to help them in their daily needs. That's the Rab code. Like all people in West Africa, the blue need better schools and hospitals. All right, we get out of that. Okay. So I'm just giving you a little bit. Just the Lebu, right? These people supposed to be Indians, right? That's what we was told. We said it, that's the argument here. They said they got an OG indigenous, can't say indigenous, my bad. They said they got an OG historian that says they ain't from Senegal, they from India. And they got a 2010 article to go with it. So among the Lebu people in Senegal, a new child, listen to this, a newborn child's name is announced 1 week after his birth on the occasion of a naming ceremony, Najente. So I want someone to show me in the Indian traditions, anywhere on the continent of India, that they have a naming ceremony that is where a baby gets his name a week after its birth. The name is selected by its father from its relatives or friends' names. The person after whom the child is named is called Turanadu. A Turanadu should make gifts from the child occasionally and help and support him or her materially and morally. In March and April 2005, I made an inquiry about personal naming practices of a family in the Lebu village. The object of this paper is to show data and consider the matter. The family is a polygamous, extended family based on patriarchal resident rules. A male child's tornado is his father's father, his mother's father, his father's brother, his father's male cousin, his father's half brother, his father's friend, a leader of the Islamic Brotherhood, and so on in 53 cases. A female child's tornado is her father's female cousin, her father's mother, her father's sister, her mother's co-wife, her father's mother's co-wife, and so on in 35 cases. In other words, a boy is named after his father's relatives, friends, Islamic persons, and half-brothers. A girl after her father's relatives, wives, half-sisters, fathers' wives, right? Therefore, there are major options of a child's tornado. For a boy, his father selects non-family men and characteristically polygamous family men. For a girl, characteristically polygamous family women, and for both a girl and a boy, right? It's the same for the family. They both say that the naming by Tornado in family ties and ease in polygamous family tension and conflicts. So is there a practicing this uh, family in India? Do we know of that would also have the same genetic makeup as the Lebu? All right, so originally, I wanted to read a source. It's called 1,000 Years of West African History. And it talks specifically about the Senegal region and how it came to be. And it talks about related people with a common civilization. Right? It's called it's chapter 7 in this book. It's on page 132 is the beginning. And it says the peoples of Senegambia. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring this up is because, again, the elder from 2010 is in conflict with other people in the same community. The Rab cult dominates. If you look up anything about the Rab, it's going to tell you significantly, right? It's going to tell you significantly that these people, these people, the Lebu, are indigenous to the region. They don't come from somewhere else. They've been there. One more thing. Let me put this on the screen. I want y'all to look at this article, this wiki article, real quick. And I'm about to show you where some of the issues are when you're dealing with certain arguments. Just gonna pull up wiki. I don't have this in the description. I just Google this and put it up. Who emailing me? All right. The Lebu are an ethnic group of Senegal living on the peninsula Cape Verde side of the Dakar. Lebu are primary fishermen, yada, 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 yada. We went through all of that. The Lebu political and spiritual capital is the Layen, situated in the Yoff neighborhood of northern Dakar. The largely Lebu religious sect and theocracy, the Layen, are headquartered there. Right? The Lebu identity, separated from neighboring Wolof and Siri communities, goes back at least to the 15th century before European explorers arrived in the area. The traditional date of the founding of the Yoff is 1430. This needs a citation. The Lebu traditions place their origins like those of the Wolof and Siri north of Senegal. The Lebu traditions place their origins like those of the Wolof and Siri north of the Senegal River. So their likely place of origin is north of the Senegal River. There were Lebu at Lake Gyres by the 16th century. In the 1700s, had moved to Cape Verde Peninsula, expelling a few Mandinka tribes already there. At the time, the area was ruled by the Damal of the Kayor, which we read about already. We also read about the Dao Diop situation, which is next. So, as I was saying about the book, it just would be too much. the elder would be in totally conflict with the historical narratives. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? But in the video, the elder said that if they're not part of the Lebu, they can't get all the inside information. Absolutely true. But if the people who are inside that are Lebu and practice the Rab cult, the Rab traditions, right, are saying their origins are in West Africa, how the hell do you come up with India? How the hell do you come up with migrating through North Africa? How the hell did you come up with migrating out of Egypt? There is a source, ladies and gentlemen, that you can find that's related to the Lebu that'll say that. I'm not going to show it to you because it's a pseudo. However, the indigenous inhabitants of the peninsula of the Lebu, pause, Encyclopedia Britannica says the indigenous inhabitants of the peninsula, the Lebu. Do we find indigenous? It's about 1444 when the Portuguese first sighted the Cape. It has been an entrepot for African-European trade. The French later established the city of Dakar on the Cape in 1857. I mean, what are we doing here? In Cape Verde Peninsula, inhabitants of the peninsula, the Lebu fishermen and farmers since about 1444. I don't want to get into genetics. I don't want to get into skin color. I only want to deal with why would an elder, why would Colonial use a video from an elder who was heavily influenced by Islam during this time period in 2010 as an argument against who, what, when, where, why, and how? He never phrased any of these questions amongst himself before he hit that button. And as Lucky says, he's borrowing other people's talking points. If that's what he's doing and escalating it, then he damn sure ain't making good on proving his argument. So let me stop sharing real quick. The conflict of interest is there. Now, I know, my bad, y'all. I said I'm going to come back to the source. Let me come back to the source. Let me not go on the tangent. Let me come back to the source. Here we go. We back to the source I was speaking on earlier. We're familiar with this already, so we good to go. Let's get into it. This other little piece. Several things distinguish the Lebu people from the Wolof. Firstly, they are a matrilineal people. And while it is posited that the Wolof were also matrilineal at one point, they currently practice patrilineal inheritance. One unique distinction of people is the Muslim Brotherhood of the Layan. The Layan Brotherhood is almost exclusively Lebu, and its teachings are particularly to this sect. Of the 5 pillars of Islam, what's the 5 pillars of Islam? The daily prayers, alms-giving, fasting during the month of Ramadan, the pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. The Layan teach that the pilgrimage to Mecca is not required. Additionally, the Layan Brotherhood is the only brotherhood that is an explicit base in the Mahdi and express nationalism Women have a unique role in the Layan Brotherhood. They are allowed to enter the mosque and encouraged to pray on Fridays. The allowance to enter the mosque is exceptional, where women are generally denied access to the mosque, especially before menopause. While this points to the importance of women in Lebu life, this view of women is nuanced. Although Lebu women are integrated into religious ceremonies, great emphasis is placed on discipline for women. They are expected to be married, occupied with domestic tasks, dutiful and conservatively dressed. In this way, similar women's status within Senegal at large, Lebu women have specific freedom within a specific framework. A focused historical grounding in some of the critical threads that create Senegalese history is necessary in order to fully explore current expressions of the Rab cult. This chapter looks specifically at the development of Islam throughout Senegalese history and zooms in on changing roles of women. Modern day Senegal is examined through the Wolof and the Lebu ethnic groups. All of these threads are critical as a foundation for understanding the Rab cult. The following chapter discusses the cult in detail and illustrates how the cult continues to play a crucial role in Senegalese society. I'm stopping right there. This is unique, right? Although 99% of these people are Muslim, it is the Rab cult that really dominates. But it didn't know anything about this and probably never will know anything about this. Many of them will these notions. But what I want to do now is talk about some more. The origins of Rab, a Senegalese perspective. So we're going to hear from the Senegalese, like we heard from one Senegalese say they come from goddamn India. According to the Senegalese, Rab originated with the beginning of the world and the birth of the first children. Zemplini and Rabin recount the following myth. This is the story right here. Portion of the myth. As this story illustrates, Rab and humans were linked through relationships of exchanges from the beginning of time. The myth shows the vibrant role of Rab have on human life. They offer protection, but also be cared for. As I will discuss shortly, the maintenance of the altars becomes central for harmony between the humans and the spirits. According to Chase, Rab are revealed as having lived on Earth long humans. In this myth, the trees in which the Rab lived were cut down as humanities expanding their land for cultivation. The Rab were left to wander in the forest and paths, finding new homes wherever they pleased. After the trees were cut down everywhere you traveled through, chances of meeting Rab were great. This myth highlights another aspect of the relationship between humans and Rab, because Rab were disadvantaged by human action. They have reason to create conflicts for humans. These conflicts create tension for both individuals, and families must deal with Rab. Ultimately, conflicts contribute to a cohesive Senegalese identity. Conflict works to create alliances between many types of relationships in the cases of between the human world and thus leads to the establishment of social order, and will be demonstrated throughout the chapter. Finally, wandering trait of Rab is established in the myth. Evidenced by these myths, Senegalese and more specific Bull have considered Rab to be a significant part of their history from the very beginning. So when I asked you earlier, can you show me people in India practicing rap? I need that evidence. Because these people, the Lebu, they've been dealing with their very beginning. I'm going to pause. I'm going to let that marinate on the hearts and minds of the people. Do you realize what I just did there? We know rap is a cult. It's an indigenous tradition on the continent of West Africa, more specifically in Dakar, where there's 106,000 people participating in this stuff. They use the derogatory term animistic or animism. However, that shouldn't deter us. This tradition and practice has been a part of their culture from the beginning. That's why I started there. When I said that I'm going to put it in direct side of his own culture, practices, and traditions, I meant that because I know there's a conflict with Islam and the rap. Man, listen. I don't know how he came to the conclusion outside of just banking on the video saying whatever it was saying. Big Ann says, this reminds me of indigenous women in America, where she explained that white people were her first. But then I realized that the story had Christian influence. Big facts. That elder's story of them coming from a foreign place is heavily influenced by Islam. Which goes back, Big Ann, if you heard me at the beginning of the stream, I spoke to that point. Man, I was pulling out heavy sources for no reason. I just pulled them out. I was gonna do a whole presentation. Then I was like, nah, I'm not doing all that. I'm not gonna do that. I can keep it simple and give people the information, and you can draw your own conclusion, and you can see the information for yourself. But once he claimed, appreciate that, Jehudi. Once he claimed in the video, the elder, once he claimed that they come from India, I knew that, okay, so if you come from India, show me the rap traditions in India. That's my follow-up. So whoever thinks that they come from India, show me the cultural practices in India. Show me the women being a part of these situations, these rituals and things of that nature. Show me that matrilineal prowess in India. Please. Show me a people migrating from India into Egypt, into North Africa, down Mauritania, Northwest Africa, into Dakar, Senegal. Where's the genetic evidence for that? We need that. Yeah, when you're speaking to Indians coming to East Africa, it is not in. That's more modern. It's more modern, bro, than ancient, right? Because we know that there was trade, but that's more modern. And these people aren't blackish. Let me show y'all this dude again in case y'all forget. And I actually need to play one of the videos too. Yeah, I know we in agreements with each other, but I'm just saying in general. See this guy? Can y'all see the screen? Let's see if y'all can video play. Let me see if y'all can hear this video.
Per month, while only using a fraction of the features and missing important features that you need. All right, so y'all can hear the video. Cool. All right, so here we go.
Assalamualaikum mbooloo mi janoog ñun ñu ngi nuyu mbooloo mi nga xam ne moo janoo ak ñun. Assalamualaikum mbooloo mi janoog ñun ñu ngi nuyu mbooloo mi nga xam ne moo janoo ak ñun tey jii ci écran bi nga xam ne moom la ñu janoon maa ngi nuyu ñëpp di sant yàlla nag avant ma tàmbali ndax sant yàlla daf ma war ndax bépp julli dafa war sant yàlla ndax xam-xam bi nga xam ne tey moom laa toog tey ba koy développé ngir le monde entier yàlla moo ma ko jox xamal ma ko kon dinaa ko sant bu baax.
So he say hello to everybody who's going to see this video, and he's also thanks God because he's a Muslim, and then every Muslim has to thank God. He's thanks God. Why? Because this knowledge he's going to share with people, he get it from God. So this is why, this is one of the reasons that he's thanks God.
Kon tey dañu am gan gu mag masalan ku ñuy wax Todd Esfelding di directeur School of Senegal nga xam ne moo nekk ci route de Ouakam di kilifa gu mag goo xam ne dafa ma seet tey nag di bés boo xam ne bii aussi dafa bés bu màgg la coïncider ak bés bi nga xam ne ci la Ablaye Wade di def tey li nga xam ne moo di ouverture stadium boobu mu liggéey ci Ouakam mu tombé le 3 avril 2010.
And he said today that he has a very important friend who came to visit him. His name is Lars Spedding, who worked at the international school of Dakar. And then today is April 3, and then it's the same day when the president was doing inauguration of the monument of
kon nag rafet na tey ki nga xam ne moo di Todd Esfelding di américain ku ne xam na Sénégal ak Amérique ni ñu mel même Sénégal ak Amérique boo demee Amérique ay noir nga fa pourquoi ay lébu nga fa sax lébu ni man toog di wax ak man kon rafet na tey li nga xam ne mooy cassette bi ñoom ñu jot ko déglu ko ba nga xam ne képp ku déglu tey di nga même boo réeroon di nga mën a gindalu ko moo xam américain nga wala japonais mbaa chinois mbaa loo mën a dal.
So he's saying that he's working with Lars Spedding, and then they're doing a movie about Lebu history. And he said in America, there is a lot of Africans living there, even some Lebanese people. And if these guys, they see the video, if they was lost, with this video, can bring them.
Kon rafet na tey ki nga xam ne moo di Esfelding ma dalal ko ne ko bismillah.
So that would be nice to welcome Mr. Lars Spedding at his house and say.
So he's talking about it, right? The history of the Lebu peoples, told story and film that is home. Mr. Guy focuses on introductions and traces migration of the Buddha from India into Egypt and Nubia, Sahara, eventually arriving in Senegal. 2010. I clicked on that link, and this is what comes up. This labelhistory.ning.com found. The source comes from this video. Highlighted right here. Can't be found. According to the information that I presented today, and this gentleman here who we can't cross-reference or substantiate, and the video being so old, I don't even know why they're bringing it up. Pure Black is in the chat with another page. Why is you on this page, Pure Black? What happened to Pure Black? Your page. You got in trouble. But anywho, for anyone believing that these people, him right here, who was clearly African, clearly Lebu, Wolof, right? The only thing that would make this man think he's from somewhere other than Africa is his religious belief. And he is and entrenched that belief to ever say that. Now, I'm pretty sure, right, if we... Yo, I'm putting it to you like this. If Black Panther, when you get back to Senegal, see if you can get some clarification. Aziz, when you go back to the Gambia, can we get some clarity on the origin stories of, or the origin of the Lebu people themselves? Record it. Yeah, we know someone lost to self-hating, bro. Gotcha, Pure. So he got mad because you called him crackhead in the chat. So he said that your name is Kenyatta. So you was the dude named Kenyatta that everybody knew on Facebook. So that's why he's saying that's got to be you, Pure. So you just rolling with, okay, you funny. I mean, I know you was calling them names in the chat, and he was getting upset, and he didn't want to deal with the subject matter because he wanted Wujawu to police the chat, as if y'all can't say whatever y'all want to say whenever y'all want to say it, however y'all want to say it. And we all know that he, you know what I'm saying? You didn't say nothing that wasn't true at some point in time in his history. You was just, you was just shedding light. That's all I got for that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I'm not gonna hold people up. I appreciate everybody tapping in. I want to leave this video about right here, 142, 145-ish, because I want people to get the gist of it. And, Karimio's methodology is highly flawed, and he doesn't use a methodology to be able to cross-reference and support what it is that he's trying to argue. And without that evidence, it's speculation. I don't give a damn what nobody say. Show me. So again, man, I appreciate everybody tapping in. Catch the replay if you missed it. Leave a comment in the chat section. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let Dr. Clark deal with it.
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you? I see what I'm saying. No.
I just think timing is everything. Like, nigga, this it. This one right here.
I had to put that on there real quick for y'all because, you know, I ain't want the strike. I don't want the strike from you, Big Mike. All right.
We are the victims of our own innocence. We didn't expect it. We were so unsuspecting. Some of us participated in it without knowing what we were doing. And to understand it, there's 200 years of history you're going to have to look at. 1400 to 1600. It's the major turning point in world history. At the end of these 200 years, the world would never, ever be the same again. Europe had come out of its bag. It had rescued itself at our expense. It had learned longitude and latitude again. Had learned how to handle ships. They had, in their search for Asia and the spices and the sweets of Asia, they had discovered Africa en route, the greater prize. We are the victims of our own innocence. We didn't expect it. We were so unsuspecting. Some of us participated in it without knowing what we were doing.
Big die, I got the game in the chokehold like a slip knot. Too much ambition, I got too much drive. I'm probably due for a pitch die. Black die, repping the team, repping the squad like a mascot. Yeah, I'm the one, you know that I got it, but I still speak for the have-nots. Big die, I got the game in the chokehold like a slip knot. Too much ambition, I got too much drive. I'm probably due for a pitch die. Black die, repping the team, repping the squad like a mascot. Yeah, I'm the one, you know that I got it, but I still speak for the have-nots. Yeah. It's been a hell of a run. I done bagged all of the women I wanted to bag. I probably should slow down and settle with one. Probably should hit up my mama and tell her my problem. She always wanna pray for her son. Tell her I got it, it's nothing your God could do for me. I feel much more safe with a gun. Look what I've done, just look at what I've become. They thought I was stuck in the mud, how they came up. They got up here like I weigh. I made them double the funds. Niggas be hating, probably cause they wifey like me and she wanna give me the buns. She got a friend, told her that she can come too because two heads is better than one. My competition is none.